Hi, chat. Hi, chat. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Essentials. We're covering season 50 of European TF2 6v6. It's the second week, sponsored by MAGGOTS, by the way. I remember to get that one in as well. It's going to be the matchup between Dirty Maggots and PINT Gaming, the all caps title teams, and the ones that may make for an interesting matchup here, given what we saw out of PINT Gaming last week, perhaps, especially because they now actually have like a complete roster of people that might actually compete for once. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm Cerny, joined by J-Max on production and Ben on the mic. Hey, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Going very good, yes. It's season 50. I guess it kind of is, right? There's been last season didn't count, this one does, but yeah, it's 50th season, big milestone for us, and we've already had 1 week of it already. And yeah, we've had these Pint Gaming, like you said, they're having a bit of a shake up already. They've had a bit of a rocky start, but that's kind of what happens when you play Witness week one. And Dirty Maggots coming in as do they count as reigning champions? Do you think at this point? Because it's a lot of players different. Like, are you counting it?
Let me see how they got. So I think of last season's roster, only 3 players remained.
Yeah.
So half the team has been replaced since last season, even though they won last season. And I would argue they're all kind of like side grades or upgrades. So
I go for that. I think they're all upgrades. I think genuinely, I think like looking at this roster, I think
yeah.
genuinely man for man, I think it's just better.
So, like overall, I think they should, if anything, do even better than they did last time around. That being said, if we're already talking about rosters, Pint Gaming really surprised me last week. Like, yeah, they went up against Witness, but they put up a lot more of a fight than I was anticipating out of that roster, especially given the fact that they have a couple of Prem newcomers and stuff. That's a roster that really caught me off guard. I was fully expecting them to be a bottom Prem contender this season, and I'm like, they might make playoffs.
Yeah, the thing is as well, right? Like that Sunshine game, okay, like Bagel obviously goes 3-0. That Sunshine game though, they genuinely had good chances.
Europe.
They
They even
got
went up. Like
around.
they got the
Yeah.
lead, yeah,
Yeah, they
at
got
the
the
start.
lead. And I want to say like I don't want to say it's all because of one person or whatever, but the one person on that team that just stood out completely for me was Andy Dude on Scout.
Yep.
As Andy Dude, like I guess it's not a Prem debut because I think he's like played like as a merc sometimes or as a sub, but like first like actual real season on Prem, and goes up against Witness and was just tearing it up. And like this guy, he's like he was a really fast climber, was like playing like open like 2 years ago, and he's just shot up in like around the Prem kind of level now, but finally got on a roster of like that's gonna stable, gonna play the season. I don't know if they're coming to LAN or not, but like this team is gonna like I don't know, there's chance to grow, and with a performance like that on week one against Witness, like that's all you can hope for in like a kind of Prem debut.
If you're gonna make a splash against Witness, week 1 is the time to do it because that's when they're usually least serious, when they take the game
Oh yeah,
the least seriously. And to be fair, they had 2 mercs last time around, right? And they didn't clearly didn't really have their roster finalized. Speaking of now going to LAN and stuff, I feel like now that they ditched Seeds, or Seeds ditched the team, however you want to look at it, right? They might even be more likely because Seeds is a seasonal LAN dodger, right? So I think there's a good chance that they might actually show up with their full team if all of them want to LAN this time around. So
yeah. Patchouli standing in. I think was Patchouli at Poland 2024. I think on the 3.5 stars team, if memory serves correct.
I
So
believe so.
and that team actually did pretty well as well. I think they came like fourth. They had a pretty good stab in like the first like international Poland event. But I kind of want to look at the other side. Speaking of the French, the Dirty Megas team, they played 4 fence last week, and it was kind of a weird game. Map 1 was all French, and map 2 was all Dirty Maggots. So it's kind of interesting to see like if it's just literally like a map specific thing. If there's certain maps they're much more comfortable than others, or if like it is kind of a bit of a hit and miss team. You know, they've got 3 new players coming in, bit unstable, but like we did see at least on that Sunshine map, the second map, they were like really really on form.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, it seems like Sunshine is their map. We were watching their pre-game scrim against Witness earlier, right? Witness were playing with a Merc, mind you. Yeah, in good stand-in, but still they were playing with a Merc. And they won. They beat Witness in the pre-game scrim, right? So, like, clearly they're really confident on Sunshine. They are playing it today as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that second map. First of all,
So,
we've got Granary, but let's see how that one goes. But yeah, Sunshine, we are selling it up now. This is where they get 5-0'd in like 10 minutes, but it did look good last week, though, I'll say that much.
it might be their map of choice. It is interesting. They don't have their brains of the operation, right? They don't have Doey. Maybe they still have Doey in like the back channel, right? They got him like watching the game, giving advice or whatever. Perhaps being the coach. But I mean, yeah, replacing out the roster, right? They swapped out their demo. Alex getting replaced by Zams. They swapped out their medic with Dowie, making space for Piggles, and then finally swapping out the scouts, even though Voxy, who is supposed to take that second scout role, isn't playing tonight, is being replaced by SNH instead, which I believe is a perfectly fine side grade as well.
Yeah,
If
I
we're
think
gonna
more
have like a
comfortable on
scout
flank
duel,
as well.
if we're gonna have a scout duel, I think Andy versus SNH is gonna be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of strange before it. Voxy was coming in on flank, right? Which I think
Hmm.
we were I think before, like it's not a role I've ever really seen Voxy on before. Like at least like in the rosters with the Germans back in like late 2023 and in Uberfest last year when he won Uberfest, it was open pocket. But like transitioning into flank, we won't get to see too much of that tonight. But we're going to get SNH on scout instead, who is more of a traditional flank player, great off classer, great at just cleaning up in these post fights, what you'd exactly want from a flank scout. So it's a very strong merc to get in. But like we say, there's some very very talented scouts on both these sides here, and yeah, like maps like Granary, like you can have some really high impact.
Depends. I'm just curious to see, because like obviously I don't want to blow up his spot too much, right? Soki, the other scout, where SK as he goes by now, for the PINT gaming team here, he was a little bit quieter, right? He was a bit quieter last week as well. Obviously, maybe taking a little bit longer to get adjusted than his counterpart to Prem so far. He was solid for the most part, right? Just a quiet-ish performance. But at the end of the day, he still did fine, right? His team still did fine. And given the circumstances, you were up against Witness at the end of the day, so perhaps not that. But maybe, like, I'm interested to see what we can see out of him. If we can see more out of him this match, this time around. Because I didn't see much out of him last week, and I'm curious to see what he's actually capable of. If we're going to see, some stepping up out of the second scout role here as well, because yeah, I haven't gotten an impression of him yet. Andy clearly like caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting him to be stepping up like that immediately, but I want to see what the other guy's capable of as well here.
Yeah, it's weird because at least with Andy, like at least I personally, I'd seen Andy play a lot more before, and like in these merc roles, but also like he was subbing and scrimming in and around like Prem now and has been for quite a long time. Whereas Soki into Prem was kind of caught me a bit out of left field. I know because like Soki was on one of like the old PINT gaming rosters back when they were on like D2 like last year, but it seems like it's been another like sort of quick rise, and this wasn't a player I particularly expected to, but I think last week like yeah, okay, it's against Witness. I think given the circumstances, it was kind of fine, right? But
yeah, he did. As I say, it was solid. It was an okay performance.
It wasn't bad by any means. It was just, but like coming into like jumping up like so many divs so quickly and getting in, like you at some point you're going to start finding his footing. And I've got to say, this is also a strong team they're up against this week, so the excuses can't go on forever. But I think yeah, it's fair enough. We can wait a bit longer into the season before we start judging SK.
Definitely. The rest of the team, I think they're all known quantities, right? Alien Patchouli, I'm pretty sure they've played together on several teams before. They're probably the French circle jerk. It would not surprise me. And then Warped, very solid soldier. Smile, proven himself to be quite the flexible player as well, right? He's picked up soldier now, but he's been a scout player in the past as well. So who knows? I mean, it's not going to happen tonight necessarily, but when they ever end up playing product, perhaps we'll see, an Andy sniper and then Smile switching off to scout or something like that. That's an interesting thing I think this team can pull off. It's because like sometimes you see teams doing that, and not a lot of teams can pull that off, where they have like a soldier that is also really confident on scout, right? Where they can like afford to sometimes run that cheeky product strategy of the double scouts with a sniper.
You mentioned that because I think was it DTR last season were trying something like this. I can't remember if it was Smile. It might have even been AMS actually when they had back at AMS in that roster, and like because again AMS are the player who like I guess maybe not recently as much on soldier, but previously was a fantastic soldier. And having that flexibility is really nice because oftentimes the best sniper players are going to be on scout, and often you'd rather have the extra scout than the extra soldier. So like having people who can like flex around, like yes, it does get a bit awkward if mid-round you decide, oh, we're getting pushed into a forward hold, we have to start juggling classes and getting everyone back onto their mains again. It gets a bit weird, but like it's definitely something that's valuable to have if you have someone who can like, especially on Koth, start juggling around.
Yeah, and I'm only like really spinning the wheels here for this because as JMX has mentioned in chat, apparently Jordy's PC blue screened, so we're just waiting. We're waiting for him to get back in the game. He's finally.
I blame Windows 11.
Must be.
I bet he's going for the Windows 11 upgrade. That's happening around now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably some AI feature that tried to like help him with his TF2 gameplay. It was like, have you considered doing a rocket jump here? That would really be an effective way, M- to get into the enemy team. Or something like that. Anyway, considering we're going live soon, Ben, what do you think the scoreline might look like in about 30 minutes time once these teams have duked it out on Granary, or sooner. Could be a 5-0 in some direction or another, but what do you reckon?
I don't think it's going to be a 5-0, I'll say that much. I think Dirty Maggots definitely come in as favourites, just sheerly from the just names in the server. These guys, like, it's obviously the team that won Prem last season, got plenty of experience, plenty of strong players. I think they're going to take it. I'm going to go 3-1. What about you, Cerny?
That's valid, honestly. That's valid. I do think there's a decent chance that PINT Gaming pick up around maybe 2. But just like last time as well, I gotta be conservative in my estimations. I still haven't seen the peak of what the team is capable of. They probably haven't reached their peak yet, right? They're still getting to grips with playing each other and stuff like that as well. So I do believe having the Maggots favorite makes sense. They're probably going to be the ones to win the map. How close it's going to be depends. A 3-2, 3-1, something like that is certainly reasonable. I'm going to have to concur. But it could also just be that, maybe they just completely suck today, right? Maybe the warm-up did not go that well after all. Maybe they had 3 more scrims before the Witness one and they were actually just doing terribly. And now they're tilted, right? Who knows?
It also depends what's been injected into Geordie's PC with the blue screen, right? There could be all sorts of nefarious things from the Windows gods bestowed upon. But we'll find out soon because map 1 is starting. It's Granary. We've got PINT Gaming in the blue, Dirty Maggots in the red as we start rolling out for this week 2 official here in season 50 of the European Team Fortress 2 League. Let's see what these teams bring out to mid.
Let's see what their approaches are for this very first mid-fight of the evening, as Alien gets to pack a little bit quicker, but it's a classic one so far for both teams, kind of just chilling back a little bit passive, rotating to their sides. Nobody committing, no soldiers bombing either side yet either, just very passive, both of these teams feeling each other out, seeing what they can get away with, seeing what's going on here, seeing where enemies may be. There's a soldier bomb. Gets the knight immediately, though. Geordie just sniped out of the sky. That's the first frag to fall in the favor of PINT Gaming, and that might just open things up. There you go. Zam's taken care of, and this is it. This is a 1 mid for PINT Gaming already.
A really sort of uncharacteristically slow Granary mid there from both these teams. There were some fade bombs coming out from PINT. No one really wanted to go, and we saw when one soldier did go, Geordie, they were caught, and now PINT are looking to catch these Dirty Maggots players on the retreat in lobby, and they're really thinking about staying in here, Dirty Maggots. They're trying to poke on to this point with no demo and a soldier respawner coming in. It's going to be really tough. The bomb comes in, and never mind. The push out can happen because it's KN landing 2 clean rockets in onto the new joining substitute medic Patchouli. But despite that, the point has flipped, and Pickles has been forced here in this left side of last. This is not over yet.
Oh, they're going for the cap, matter of fact. Smile just pulling a little bit of aggression with that. Is obviously not going to be able to finish that out, but lives for a little bit longer than he probably had any business living, and it's putting the Maggots in a tough spot here. That's a bit of cap time on last. They gotta be careful. And even if they want to get out into second here, obviously the respawners are back by now, right? PINT Gaming ready to go, back to defending this point. Perhaps they have to be a bit passive, but a little bit of an Uber ad as well. Not much to work with. But PINT Gaming, they're still very much in this. They have a foot in the door here with getting those Ubers equalized, even though they did drop their med. Certainly an opportunity. Soki trying to get in here as well. He gets a couple of good meat shots there. Can't quite finish off the frag though. SNH will win that battle, and I think that might be the point, finally flipping their favor. They lose Andy as well. Trade out for both of the soldiers on the other side, but Warp goes down. It's just a losing war of attrition at this point.
Yeah, they're going to be very careful as well that they don't get forced here when they retreat out, and actually they're going to lose Alien too. So yes, they might be getting out with their Uber charge, but not with too many players in tow because they're down Andy, down Warped, and Alien is a really, really late spawn. It looks like they're going to try and stay into use though. SK coming in, going to use the Uber first, and Pickles is going to use in kind, but now it's kind of awkward for this combo. There's a bit body blocking going on between Af and Soki, but it looks now to me as if Dirty Maggots might want to re-engage in this post.
They do lose Af right away though. SNH almost falling as well, just barely living. Well, Smile does fall on the other side eventually. Still anybody's game, I suppose, but positioning certainly favoring PINT Gaming with just the high ground completely under control. Zam's not really finding his way through choke, almost living, well, not quite living actually, just narrowly escaping himself. So PINT Gaming hang on to mid. They're going to be able to stabilize here. Send a soldier right away as well. But
good effort there from Warped. Hits 2 rockets, but the second one not quite clean enough.
Okay, Patchouli
nearly.
Gets out of there just in time. Works out wonderfully, but scary nonetheless. And, well, neither medic having Uber there either means, you can't save yourself with a well-timed right click. That would have been a disastrous situation, but As it stands, we're going to get back to equal Ubers. Spawners are going to favor PINT Gaming as well. They do have the numbers to just maybe bully their way into second here a little bit. Smile going high up into the sky, but not really finding anything, having to opt for the retreat. Dying again, unfortunately, and this opens things up a little bit for the MAGGOTS side to try and go for their own counter sack. They certainly have the players capable of doing it. They just gotta find the window for it as well.
And now with Uber charges up there, it gets a lot tougher to look for these counter-sack opportunities. We saw before when it was a bit discoordinated, they were still building, there was still like players sort of toading around in that garage area. That's how Kane managed to get in. But now this time around, like there's no attempt at a counter-sack. Like this is arguably like one of the hardest points in the game currently to counter-sack out of. This second into mid, there's 2 tiny doors you can go through. That's your choice. And PINT Gaming now able to get their players back up. Able to start some pressure, but they are getting pressured themselves. They're getting pressured a lot because Patchouli has dropped again for the second time in the first 5 minutes of their PINT Gaming career, as another clean collapse comes in from Dirty Maggots, who now want to walk the advantage forwards, warping a bomb in, try and do the reverse onto Piggles, who just about escapes from 50 HP, and now Dirty Maggots clean to walk through and clean to start taking space. Late death again for Alien. Andy in the forward spawn. Sniper is probably the only thing stopping a clean second take here as well.
If they're too ambitious MAGGOTS, they could get caught by this. They may very well also be, aware of it being a possibility. Matter of fact, they've rotated to the other side already. The entire team is in lunchbox there. They're definitely not falling for this. They knew that it could be on the table, it's in the cards, and now they're basically wrapping around completely. This Uber is going to be straight onto PINT Gaming if they're not careful. Matter of fact, they might just take it all the way into last year. Smile tries to put himself between there, but no, he's just going to die, and they're ready to go. That Uber is going to be popped straight away. Zam's in deep. The sentry was not even going to be in the equation. Everybody's just locked into spawn, but they haven't really found much in terms of frags just yet. It truly goes low, but doesn't die. A little bit of cap time being put down as well, but it is not enough players coming out of spawn. They're just too scared. It's going to be the first round going the way of the MAGGOTS.
Yeah, I will say the attempted sack there from Smile in lobby, like, okay, if it goes well, it's fantastic. You get the force, you hold last, but if it doesn't, you are basically guaranteeing that the last hold is impossible. Because there we saw the push comes in, the Uber charge is looking to spawn doors. Basically, the only person out of spawn doing things is Warped. But that's a solo soldier just like flying around trying to not die whilst pressuring the cap enough. If Warped had a friend there in a second soldier who was able to jump around, yes, that Uber charge would have faded, and maybe they could have got bodies on that point to stop the cap. But not as it stands, because PINT Gaming, 1 round down to Dirty Maggots in just over 6 minutes. But mid-fight number 2 is on the way, and PINT had a pretty good showing last time.
Yeah, they took the slow and methodical approach. Perhaps it shall work again. Perhaps the MAGGOTS have figured it out and know how to counter it now, but as it stands, they're being careful again. And there's actually going to be initiation here outside of PINT Gaming. There's a little bit of a fake bomb by Smile to pressure them a little bit, and just damage being dealt to MAGGOTS. They're all kind of eating a lot. KN might be the first to die. He does eventually get cleaned up, and there you go. That opens things up a little bit for PINT Gaming now. They have a little bit of player to play off of, but they're also getting flanked.
Look at them go.
They're behind. This is absolutely horrendous for Dirty Maggots.
Look at the health bars as well on these players. They're really trying to get out. They're really, really struggling. After going to go down, maybe some more as well, because SNH is going to have to run towards the choke on the shutter and does get out alive. Geordie not so fortunate. And okay, yeah, there's Uber charges up on either side, but this is 2 players down for the 7 seconds. There is a window of opportunity to try and force this medic here on Piggles. Really going to have to sit tight on this one while these spawners come in, as the beam already walking in from this right-hand side.
It is still an Uber in the pocket for Piggles, though. A saving grace for this last one. Unfortunately, 3 players going down before he can even try and save the rest. Getting forced eventually with a soul-heavy AF. Trying to go hang on to the world here. He's only got 2 players to take care of. One of them a disconnected Warped, and then Soki and Patchouli out. But crucially, very crucially for all of this, no Uber was used on the side of PINT Gaming. They have a full one in store for this. And unless Patchouli drops again, this is a very nice opportunity to get into this last.
That was intelligent play there from PINT. I really like what they did. I was saying it's great to go in for the Force now, but they walk in, they see that the Force isn't really an option. But the fact that it's not an option means the medic isn't around able to help out the other players, and it was a bit discoordinated from Dirty Maggots. And they said, you know what, we'll just focus kills, and then we'll force by way of just killing everyone else rather than going directly for the medic. But now they get to reap their rewards. The Uber charge comes in, gun taken down, Andy and Co on this left-hand side, collapsing in onto Zams. No stickies on this point now for this post, but the heavy is up. And Piggles, 90% on this medigun. They're going to have to be fast on PINT if they're going to cap this out before the Uber charge comes out. Uber charge finally in from Piggles. and it might have to be some kind of a retreat and regress now from PINT 4v3. They might want to come back in here, and it looks like they do. They're staying in, but into a heavy. It's not necessarily all nailed on. Spawners coming in soon too. The heavy doing what he can on SNH, and it might just be enough because Pachuli's had to walk out last alive. And by the skin of their teeth, Dirty Maggots are hanging on to this 1-0 lead. How on earth in that post-fight do they manage to stay in?
That's crazy. PINT just not quite getting enough point pressure on, getting too many people between themselves and the objective, and it is enough for Maggots to stabilize. They will get their second back here as well. That buys them even more opportunities to actually stay in this, and well, we saw them do this already, right? The coast to coast coming back into this, not necessarily something they're incapable of. That being said though, they still have to worry about that Uber ad. It's not sizable and it's fizzling away as we speak, but it is still there, and they do have to forsake the second point again. Now it's going to be down to the last hold. SNH on the sniper as well. That's dangerous. Can line up a shot. Doesn't quite get much beyond that body shot though, and looks like PINT Gaming are rearing to go in. They really want to get this Uber out of the equation, make something happen with it. Maybe even just get the force out. Warped is already in deep, but just gets diffed, unfortunately, by KN. You hate to see it. That's going to make things a little bit harder for them. Even if they trade him out, they lose SK as well, and I think this is just it. You gotta back off again.
Yeah, they can only take that fight really, like 6v6, you wouldn't normally see them pressuring in like that with the beam so close in the shutter, but they know with no gun up, that's like the opportunity. It's the best chance they're going to get now to have like a kind of big pressure wave in, because we can see SNH already building that sentry gun on last, and it's going to make it all the more difficult now for any sort of subsequent sack attempts coming in. Like Warped would not have got away with that play that he was trying to go for on that spawn shutter if there was still a gun in play. So now it's they got it the hard way on the PINT Gaming, because the first wave of attack was repelled, but we'll see how they get going. Andy currently trying to peek in from this right hand side. There's a couple of players close, but these shutters are so perilous to push through.
It's not an easy opportunity, especially when you're not going for any of the off classes either, right? Obviously, Af picking up the sniper rifle in response, and SK going down isn't going to make things any easier. Not going to deny these soldiers as much as they would previously. Now that opens things up for Maggots to maybe get another cheeky pick here as well, and at that point, seconds you're taking, right? Even just getting angles for Af, denying so much ground here, PINT Gaming. They gotta be careful. They might not know about the sniper just yet, right? They might not be aware. They do have Andy picking up the rifle on the other side now, though, so looks like we're going down to the good old classic sniper v sniper last Granary. Unfortunately for them, though, Maggots will definitely be aware because Af's already keenly checking, so he's going to be working from behind on this one. He's already got a disadvantage, and he's got to make it work somehow. He's got to find the angle onto a crucial target very quickly, otherwise they're fizzling away time. And remember, they're down a round, so anytime they waste away just favors them even less.
And 3 minutes on the clock for PINT Gaming. There's still time. There's still time to slow peek in with the sniper. Not going to have to do anything too crazy yet. There's Andy just scoping up on this right-hand door. Alien getting some good damage. There's parachutes galore, though. That was at least one parachute. Was that two? I couldn't quite tell, but it's working out regardless for PINT Gaming, as the sniper is smited down alongside Smile. And now, like, the soldier kill is probably more important in terms of trying to pressure second. Like, Dirty Maggots might want to go for it, and we're seeing a rotation from PINT. They're kind of anticipating that there might be an attempt into lobby, but it's not forthcoming.
Oh, they're actually going to Uber.
They're trading.
They're trying to trade. Unfortunately for them, they don't really get close to Piggles for so long that he probably didn't even have to use there. I think he respected them a little bit more than he needed to in that situation. It's going to turn out to be an equalizer, but realistically, you probably didn't have to use. Now in the post-fight, it's going to be interesting how PINT tried to approach this. Jordy with the parachute just hovering above everybody, raining down death, and it's just people falling left, right, and center. Warp might die as well. No, just narrowly gets arrowed, but they're still on the chase. Patchouli is not in the clear yet. Warp just narrowly living again, trying his best to stay alive, to keep his medic in the game, and somehow, some way, they both escape just by the skin of their teeth. Jordy even getting killed by Patchouli on the chase, but that's not the great outcome that PINT would have wanted here at all. Now they're down the second point again as well, so it's only getting harder now.
The thing is, though, that chase, I think Dirty Maggots kind of overchased that. They sent players in onto mid, and they also had one of their scouts getting caught in like the yard area outside. So that's 2 picks in the favour of PINT Gaming. They were able to just waltz back in, take the second point, and we can already see Alien here in this right-hand side trying to peek into last. There's heavy up, no gun just yet. Warped is really firing this left-hand side, landing it onto Zams. Good damage. Zams just going to go down, actually. It's the scout coming in, but 2 picks the price of one. Despite it being a demo, it's going to be tough for PINT to get back in.
Too.
They do actually, never mind, they can actually trade this.
Oh, there's also a lot of damage onto Af before the Ubers finally get popped out either side. It's an exchange. It's going to be a slightly better Uber, I believe, for the blue side, but it doesn't matter much because they have to obviously give up their positioning against that heavy still being an issue. Now the demo's back in spawn. Spawned in as well with Zams back on the field, and Smile just getting mowed down by the minigun means no choice, no way of fighting this at this point. You just gotta wait it out once more, and Maggots, you could argue, kind of griefing themselves almost by pushing out and retaking second at this point, because I feel like by now they could have gotten the round reset on the board instead, right? So
yeah,
maybe they're just confident holding? Maybe they just want to hold?
Yeah, it's one of those where that chase out that they did, like, okay, not like it's the fact that they'd lost 2 players in that chase out is the anomaly, I think. Normally, they're either chasing out and they're all living and they can pressure into mid because they've denied the forward spawns, or they managed to get a kill onto like Patchouli or something on the way through. The fact that like Warped and Patchouli between them got 2 kills and both lived is like the entire reason why the point on second flipped back over to PINT again. So I did expect the push out, but now they're wreaking the problems because there's players peeking in onto last. Afon Sniper going to try his damnedest to lock down this left-hand door, but that's not who gets the kill because SK has gone down on the other side to traps, and we're going to see our off classes. Andy currently just not looking like he's keen to go back. Maybe Soki decides to go up on something, or maybe there's just going to be a roll around. No, Soki's up on the scout again, so they're just going to play it normal. They're just going to trade again.
They're going to try the old-fashioned way, see how well it goes. The sentry takes a while to be taken down, but eventually they do get it. Obviously, it's a much better Uber, though, for the side of the Maggots, and unfortunately for PINT Gaming, that just means they gotta back out, try to maybe get some sort of positioning as they rotate around here. Soldiers flying high, Smile the first to fall, but they do find Kane on the other side at the very least. Warp gets taken out as well, though, and the health is not looking great for PINT Gaming. They're not finding anything else here. No cohesion, no focus fire on anybody else, and they just gotta lick their wounds and, well, live with the fact that they're probably not gonna get pushed out too much. Maggots obviously not gonna be able to push with a player down, and trying to get out of last, not the easiest thing to do. And they're just gonna have to wait up one more. Now, half the round timer has passed, basically. 2.5 minutes left of holding last. Not an impossibility. Certainly something that these Maggots are very much capable of. They've basically already done it, right, at this point. So going for the round reset at this point favors them. It's going to be down to PINT Gaming to finally make this one stick. The Ubers are in play once more. That, unfortunately, though, is a scout missing, and that is your combo scout missing, the one that would lead the charge. So it's not going to make it any easier. Wasting away some more time. Af, actually a somewhat crucial pick.
I don't know if I'm sold on these Uber trades. It looks like they're gearing up for one again. So I'm gonna hold my tongue until this one goes perfectly well. The gun goes down. Uber charge comes out from Piggles, and Andy is going to be arriving in the lobby just as it fades. So now with Uber charge out and gun down, this is where last time they rotated in from this right hand side. We're doing exactly the same again. Jody bumping in with the parachute though, and oh my, that just denies everything. Doesn't do much damage, but they fear it. These parachutes of defense are looking hella strong for Dirty Maggots, but is it going to be enough though? Because the pressure's coming in now from this left-hand side from PINT. They're getting in. They're getting a lot of space. Warp goes down. Jordan can land onto the point, try and block this one out. And yeah, PINT, they're going to have to retreat and leave. 2 players down, no frags found at their own way. And yeah, I'm going to say it now. I'm not sold on these trades. I'm safe to say it now.
It's certainly not been working well. I'm liking the initiative of PINT Gaming to like constantly rotate back and forth, right? They can't get something immediately on right side. They're almost instantly teleported to the left side. But unfortunately, even if they're rotating that fast, I feel like, you know, they're not quite doing it at the same-ish speed, so the players aren't all there at the right time, and then they just end up getting picked off, right? They end up dying by themselves and kind of just throwing the fight away effectively. So I suppose we'll see another exchange happening unless SK can have a word with it. Finally up on the spy, trying to make a difference here. Unfortunately for him, he's not got the cloak and dagger, so he has to decloak in a very precarious spot, and he gets spotted immediately. Matter of fact, he wasn't even disguised. He forgot about the disguise completely. The sentry just shot him down. That's very unfortunate.
And the worst bit is that now there's 20 seconds left. So this is normally where you think, oh, we'll trade in, we'll try and just get something in the post. They're just down a player for this post fight because SK is not going to be there in time. And they're down a demo as well.
So things are just going from bad to worse, man. It's all falling apart. At least they found the engine, I suppose, out of the equation. But there goes Warp. No cap time at all means no overtime either. The round reset is on the board. And there you go. That's quite a lot of time. Wasted away 10 minutes off the clock. What was looking like a, well, you know, probable you can get around on the board. Suddenly, you wasted 10 minutes trying to get into last, and you really couldn't do it. So PINT Gaming are going to have to start looking for some other avenues to try and get into this last instead of winning the push. Maybe win on mid so decisively that you can just get there instead.
The scary news for PINT is that they have had an Uberad push. At the very start of that round, like they did have an Uberad push into last and failed it. So in these positions, I kind of get where they're trying to trade. If they're not confident that Uber adds, maybe they can just be confident in these post fights, but these aren't really working either, so it comes to the point of how are they going to get rounds on the board? Well, their mids have been good starts for that so far, but actually the bomb comes in, Patchouli, what a serve!
God.
How do you live?
That was an incredible turn of events, incredible bomb in by KN, insane serve by Patchouli, right back to safety. That was better than many rocket jumps you see some soldiers do, incredible stuff. And they're running the mid off of it. I mean, Pickles is the only one left, he's trying to live here, but that's not gonna happen. What a mid fight! Holy!
Well, we know that the Momentum mod went online on Steam last week, so maybe Patchouli's been very keen on that one. But to land it like straight through the doorway of Catwalk, beautiful stuff. That's more than made up for the couple of slips we saw earlier in this game. And the biggest thing now is that, okay, it's full ad, but like it's almost more than that. Because, okay, Kane's up on the disad spy to try and make something work, just to try and get some sack on second. Like, Pickles has only just spawned and is on the crits, but for now, it's all about whether they can get this Uber charge off in to last, because Patchouli will have a target on his back and he's healing up on the spy. Kane with the revolver comes out 1-2, does not land the important final couple of shots, and now one soldier down on last. This is borderline looking unholdable now for Dirty Maggots as PINT Gaming come flying in, locked on the spawn. Smile doing big damage on the heavy on the right hand side as well. Af just going to live on the heavy, but it doesn't matter because the round comes in. That's the gamble. We saw it previously when Smile sacked into the lobby before. If you're giving up soldiers before these last pushes, you are basically accepting if you don't get the drop, it's over. And we see it again, 1-1. PINT Gaming back in the game.
That's it, they need that momentum, man. That's what I was talking about. When they can't bust those last holes, they just gotta win so decisively on mid that they can roll it all the way to last, and it worked out for them now. Suddenly, just like that, they're back in the game. Maggots have to find a response now. They can't just rest on their laurels. It's 1-1. They gotta make this mid stick, and they've been looking weak on these mid fights so far. They really have not been on top of these Granary mids this far. Perhaps it's a weak map, perhaps it's where they're playing it, but they really got to start showing something here, showing signs of life really on these mid fights, because they've been getting shellacked every single time.
It's been 3 for 3 for PINT Gaming, and last time we saw a bit more aggressive turn from Dirty Maggots that was completely shut down by that wonderful serve from Patchouli, and now this time it looks like PINT thinking about doing the aggression. The aggression is more with the scouts than the soldiers, because the soldiers both fading around in the way. Look at the health bars actually on this red side, they're really eating the spam on this low ground, but actually it's PINT Gaming who are losing the players. They lose 3 all explosive classes dropping at the tail end of that mid. Great work on the collapse there from Dirty Maggots. They might want to walk forward even further too. Look, Zams and Co already wandering through on to this second point. It's going to be last over on the blue side of the map this time for a change. We're going to get a change of scenery here.
It's going to be a little bit brighter, a little bit different color scheme to look at, and unfortunately for Dirty Maggots though, it's not as decisive of a win as they would have wanted on that mid, right? This is the situation that PINT Gaming found themselves in, well, in that long round where they spent 10 minutes on last. They don't really get that decisive win. They gotta get a force here or something, or just go for the exchanges. We haven't seen much out of, them trying to attempt that yet, so maybe they're much more, much more on top of those, as opposed to how PINT Gaming have been struggling with them, but I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how they approach this. They gotta do with that Andy sniper as well now on the defense. Gotta see what they can get in with the bomb, unfortunately for them. Both Kayan and Zams trying to get in something, trying to maybe get a force out of Patchouli. Not gonna happen. Patchouli's not going to just pop to that, and yeah, they're just gonna keep holding this on. Matter of fact, they might even just go into second tier. Looks like they're keen, but unfortunately there's like half a team in Lunchbox, and it's looking like an Uber dropping down on a team waiting to happen.
Yeah, it could get weird though, because there's players they're backing out. Never mind, they respect it. Apart from Smile, the only one getting caught, so maybe that gives an opportunity for a fast sack. But the all-important ones, there wasn't an Ubercharge forced out or anything like that. There might be Ubercharge forced now, and there is an Ubercharge forced out because Geordie gets in on the blind spot of the gun. And Patchouli has to pop the Ubercharge after eating 100 damage direct.
Okay.
Oh.
If he hits that, he might actually be the GOAT. That's crazy. I mean, I respect him for going for it. He had a bit of an Uber walking in as well. There was an opportunity there. Didn't quite stick it, but you can't blame him for trying. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take at all. So that's quite something. Unfortunately though, Andy couldn't quite stick that shot. Now Dirty Maggots find themselves with a full Uber trying to get into this last. Will they be able to make this one stick? They find the sentry right away. Lock down that spawn as well. That's a scout, well, sniper, I guess, taking out of the equation again. So much damage onto the right side. They're completely mulched. The meat grinder completely disassembling PINT Gaming, and that's another quick round on the board for the Maggots.
They're always the most satisfying things to see a demo man do. It's like the entire team rotates around to the door, and it's the exact moment that the pipe lands and the sticky's dead, and you just see the biggest numbers you could ever imagine on your screen. And Dirty Maggots back in the game with a clean, convincing take. Just really nicely on 2 for 2 on there. Uber had conversions into last, and with 6 minutes left on the clock, they might now be thinking about the heart. They don't have to take as many risks. They can maybe slow it down a bit more. But on this mid, they're still in the mid to fight, and despite the last one going slightly better, they have had problems earlier on. See if PINT Gaming decide to adjust. Seems that they're playing 2 players across to garage really early this time.
Interesting. Switching up the strategies, keeping them on their toes, and they're finding Jordy again as the first frag. So once more, PINT Gaming at least coming out ahead early on this mid-fight. Matter of fact, it's enough for Dirty Maggots to retreat. They realize the situation in as well. They shouldn't really commit too much. They shouldn't take too much of a risk. They can just play the clock if they so desire. And losing more players on mid would only make that harder. Finding Warped slows down the enemy team a little bit, and the mid hasn't still been just now getting capped. So there's certainly a chance here for Dirty Maggots to just hang right in there. No problems, no questions asked. Ubers are in play for both teams as well, and they're still down Warped on the other side. So yeah, I think they're going to be resting easy for a little bit.
And Warped went very aggressive in yard, and to be fair, that the play almost works, because for a start, Warped just almost straight up won the 1v1 against KN. But also, like, the combo, Andy and Patchouli came in behind to try and sweep up some kills, but they had to retreat out because they weren't getting kills fast enough, and everyone was getting beamed up by Piggles, right? So they had to respect it and back up. But now it's kind of a free sack before positioning was made, and now is the more expensive sack, because they have to start throwing players into these doorways as they're being watched. And maybe not, because actually Af has been caught.
You just kind of fed or something? I really know what's happening.
I was just the soldiers in choke.
Yeah.
The soldier bomb choke. I was like, all right.
I was enjoying the smile cam, like nice little drone POV, but unfortunately didn't quite see what happened to Af. That being said, it opens things up a little bit for PINT Gaming. They're feeling themselves on this Uber exchange. The Ubers are going to fade around the same time though, a little later for PINT Gaming, a little bit less flashing, but it's going to be the post-Uber that matters here most. Are they going to be able to find the frags? They do trade out a soldier for a soldier. Find another frag onto Af again. Zam's taken down as well.
Brilliant.
It is actually going wonderfully right now for them. They are finding the frags they need to, and it's making themselves be in a nice position for this last push as well. If they want to keep this rolling forward, matter of fact, they totally can. The spawn is still going to take a while. No demo. This is a nice opportunity to get another round on the board straight away. So much cap already, and they're just going to get it right off the bat. Look at that. Beautiful.
Wow. These trades, okay, into last they weren't working, but that was a phenomenal trade. Yep. Andy comes in, like, how many flashes did we count there on the Piggles Uber? Like, that Uber lasted about 3 seconds, because just everyone was getting popped on permanently as Andy came in. And into last, it was clean. Like, KN was expecting someone to, I think, move from top lobby, so KN was, like, out of the fight completely, and just one scout up can't block the point by themselves. And now a 2-2 with 3 minutes 40 left. There is time for one of these teams to win it in regulation, should they decide to go for something big on this mid. As we go for mid fight, number 5 of this game could be the decisive one. See whether these soldiers on Dirty Maggots are able to get something going. King and a bomb very deep answer is Georgie, and it's big damage on these players. Patchouli goes down.
That's huge. No heals, but they find Piggles on the other side. Look at the numbers. The health is so
4
low
HP on Zams
for the Maggots, and yet somehow they're hanging in there. They just can't quite get cleaned up. They find Zams eventually, but Alien's clean up on the other side. It's gonna be one scout against a scout and KN. He's gonna have to pull miracles out of his hat, SKN. I don't think he's gonna do it. There you go. It's taken care of, but still much closer than probably either team would have wanted that to be, and it's not enough of an advantage for Dirty Maggots to keep this rolling quickly, which is what they would really want, right, to win this round at this point. Their medic died, they lost almost everybody on their team as well. They're gonna have a hard time even just getting into second at this rate, and yeah, they need a little bit more speed if they want to have a chance to still get this before it goes to a golden cap, naturally. And, well, I mean, 2.5 minutes is certainly still capable of happening. There's a couple of Ubers in there if you really want to move quickly, but Jordy dying here potentially, yeah, it's not going to make it any easier.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where, like, yeah, there is time for that sack and they can go for that, but now for PINT, like, if they want to get around on the board, it has to be, like, in right now, you'd think, because 2 minutes to get the entire length of the map, there'll be spawners, there'll be Uber trades and such, is looking far less likely. Like Dirty Maggots, they have like maybe 1 or 2 more attempts at sacks. It might be this one that lands because the bomb comes in from KN, getting that big force onto Patchouli, and all this work fighting back in this game, coming down from behind twice for Pint Gaming might be all for nothing, because now it's full Ubercharge advantage for Piggles. After going to get caught by traps and two soldiers bombing in, they're really investing here on Pint into the second point, get the force out onto Piggles. Push comes through. How many players can get out of this shutter? Warp goes down, Smile goes down, Alien goes down. Wait a second, they can push this dry maybe.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance here if they're still getting out, but suddenly everybody just gets emulsion at Shutter. Second is Cap. There's Cap time on last already as well. Nobody's getting out of spawn in time, and the Maggots find it. They find it right there, under pressure. And now with less than 90 seconds on the clock, I do believe it is GG's unless we see an insane round out of Pint Gaming. Dirty Mags are going to take this one regulation round, and that's a lot closer, perhaps, than we expected initially. Although, I did say 3-2 was feasible. I suppose it did happen.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed by the turn of pace there from Dirty Maggots. Like, okay, they get forced out on Yard, and that turn of pace through lobby, they catch 3 players leaving the shutter. And they like weren't even that overextended in Yard. The chase was so clean, it was so fast, and now they're going to try and get themselves back into this. 45 seconds on the clock. I guess it's technically possible, but maybe not if they start losing players and Pachuli's already gone down. This one is going into garbage time, I believe, at this point, because there's no real chance now of a quick round coming in, as Ubercharge is going to have to get built up after this one. But Dirty Maggots, it's the third time's the charm in terms of getting up rounds. But Pint Gaming, they've showed a lot of bite, and like you said, I guess Dirty Maggots are always the favourites, but you called maybe a 3-2. I was one round off, 3-1. I'm still claiming a slight victory on that one, but like, this was way closer than I expected, honestly. Like, Pint have been on top for most of this game, I'd say.
It's kind of sad to see them still be pointless up until this point, right, in the season after the performances they've been putting down. Because against Witness, even though Bagel was a 3-0, they looked convincing, and 2 of those rounds could have easily gone to Pint Gaming as well. So like they've always been like so close. And we've seen it more now, at least from what we've seen so far out of them this season. They've been so close every single time. And then it just just ever so slightly falls away at the end. They just run out of steam a little bit right before the end. The enemy team has a little bit more stamina, finds that last little spurt of energy or something like that, right? This time around, again, it's enough for the Maggots to get ahead. And unfortunately for Pint Gaming, headed into the next map. Maggots look really good on Sunshine, so
yeah,
you know. Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's logs to be looked at for this map as well, numbers to be gleaned, and
numbers.
It was a slow game. You can tell it was a slow game.
6 medic deaths total, and of those 6 medic deaths, 2 of them were Patchouli drops in the first 5 minutes as well.
Yeah, that's. I mean, half the times he died, he's dropped. I mean, as far as statistics go, that's actually pretty horrid. But the fact that it was still this close after all that, you know, says a lot, I suppose.
Yeah, it was quite a slow game, and in those games, and logs like they sometimes tell stories, sometimes don't. It was a game where I think personally for me, the real thing that kind of kept the mid Dirty Maggots win this is their playmaking from their soldiers. I think was slightly more consistent. They were getting a lot of results, even if it's just forces. But like Geordie in particular, I know KN got the one in the final round there to secure the force into Patchouli and Yard. Geordie in particular, I think, had some great bombs and had some really good impacts. And also, like, on the parachute on last, like, I don't think I've seen this used much on Granary. I've seen it on Metalworks, like the defensive parachute bombs. These were locking out these shutters brutally. And the fact that it's blind round a corner as well if you're pushing in. Like, they're so scared to peek around on these shutters and try and pressure into last, because there might just be a soldier just hovering above doing like 200 damage a rocket because of the splash.
Yeah, the craziest part about it as well is that when you're coming in, especially on that right side, you're so worried about like that little wall that you're peeking over, or like seeing if there's like a demo nearby, or like a soldier maybe up on the pipe. You're not looking straight up. You're not walking through that door when there's like 3 people that could be standing in your face and looking straight up at the skybox. That would be insane. You're not going to be doing that, right? So of course it's going to be something that either catches you out, so either you're getting distracted by what is effectively a flashbang, or you're eating a lot of damage from it. Either one, right? So it seems to be doing wonders, at least that time around.
I genuinely think it could become. I think like, okay, this is maybe I've been living under a rock, but I haven't seen this much on Granary. I think we're going to be seeing more of this. I think teams will watch that and think, damn, that's a good idea. And maybe we'll see some more of this. Because I think, like, maybe there's some counterplay I haven't thought of that's maybe it has been tried and hasn't worked as well. But I was really impressed with that. As parachute use cases go, like I think that's a genuine one we might see a lot more of.
That said, things are going to be different now. Sunshine is the next map on our schedule. And unfortunately, as I've already mentioned for Pint Gaming, Dirty Maggots have looked unbelievably solid, unbelievably dominant on this map so far. From any time I've seen them play this season so far, they seem like the Sunshine specialists. So unless Pint Gaming have been doing their homework and have been working stuff out that we don't know about, things may very well look dire for them in terms of getting points on the board so far. But who knows?
You say that right, but like they played Witness on it last week. And it didn't look. It was okay. Like, how do we compare like 5-1 win against Forfens to close loss against Witness? Like, are they comparable at all?
That is
week one Witness though. Is week one Witness real? Like, what are your thoughts on that? You know,
they didn't have Pappy.
Oh, that is true. Actually,
they didn't have.
Is it Witness without Pappy? Like, you're gonna go team of Theseus again?
That's a hard question. It's really like, where do you measure that? What's the power scaling here, right? That's a curious one, because you'd expect Forfens on average to be a better team than Pint Gaming, right?
Oh yeah.
So Forfens getting trounced by Maggots should be worth less than Pint Gaming putting up a close fight against Witness, who are undisputably the best team in the world. So, you know, it's like, where do you measure this up? But then, you know, Witness playing handicap. But then they had two mercs on Pint Gaming though when they did that.
That is true. Okay, so what we've learned is that like last week just wasn't real, and we should just watch the game. Decide in hindsight.
You can't measure this up at all. There's no quantifiable like objective ground truth here. You don't know where this goes. So all we can do is just see if Pint Gaming are actually even more cracked on Sunshine somehow, or if we're going to see more excellence out of the Maggots on this map. We're just going to see a repeat of what they did to those poor Frenchmen. I suppose. I guess we'll know momentarily. They're probably rearing to go sooner rather than later. So
yeah, I was getting the last couple of players in. They're all having some fun in pre-game on like Pyro and NG and stuff. You know, just pretending it's like a casual game. But it's very not casual, because we're going to be going live shortly. But before we do that, we've talked about the hypotheticals, right? We've talked about, is it real if you like play against Witness in week 1 on a Wednesday, but they've got a merc and you've got 2 mercs and whatever. Tell me a score. What's this finish?
If I'm going with my gut instinct, right? Just pure intuition on this one. The Maggots are probably taking the map again. Now, is it going to be a 5-1? I don't know. If we're going to see the same mags that we just saw on Granary, it might be close again, right? They were fumbling a little bit at certain points. They were really getting caught out by some crazy post-Uber fights. And, well, in some way, Sunshine is a more fast-paced map, so perhaps I can catch them more, right? So I can see this being another close one. But I also, like, everything in my head is telling me there's no shot Pint Gaming win this map, right? They might take it to a golden cap. They might be able to eke out that point out of a golden cap. But unfortunately for Pint Gaming, they're just having such a rough start to the season, going up against basically the 2 best teams, arguably, in Prem currently, that they're really going to have a rough time with the start of the season. They're going to be pointless, I think.
You know, I'm gonna go as a devil's advocate here. I am a Pint Gaming believer. Have been for a while, back since when they were a Div 2 or Div 3 team, even way back. Like, I'm a believer. I think I was really impressed, particularly by Andy last week, but also by some of the rest of the players. And I think they're gonna come good. I think we saw good shades last game. There was a couple of unfortunate drops early on and a couple of unfortunate mid fights. I think they were the better team for so much of that last game. I think we're going to see a close Pint Gaming win. I'm going to go 2-1 to Pint.
Okay. It's going to be a slow match, in your opinion. Interesting.
Yeah, well, it's Sunshine. I think we might spend a bit of time on last. That's my guess.
Yeah, probably. That's a given at this point. Everybody just sucks at pushing last nowadays and is great at holding it. Anyway, that's the hypothetical, because we don't know if it's even going to go that far yet, or if this is just going to be a quick round as we're heading into Sunshine. Map 2, Pint Gaming in the blue, Maggots still in the red. They take map 1, but will they be able to keep that momentum up? Will PINT Gaming find their way back into this as the mid-fight unfolds? This one probably not going to be as slow as the Granary ones were. Matter of fact, already a lot of ground being taken here by the PINT Gaming side. Just very, very aggressive on this point, all over it straight away. Majority and half taken down as well. They do lose SK on their own side and just about hang on to KN's life. So it's a 1 mid for PINT Gaming. Not necessarily super decisive, but they do win. They do get that first mid cap.
Yeah, nicely they kill into Georgie, just catching the one player just slightly away from the rest of the team on that rotation, just gets instantly focused down. And yeah, okay, the flank scouts trade out on either side, but this is going to open up a little bit of a window of opportunity, which is slammed shut instantly by Zams with their early kills. So there's no fast transition, there's no fast early sack. They're going to have to wait, do it the long way, and perhaps actually be in more trouble because KN wins out the 1v1 MGE with Smile. And do they look to counter on this? Do they look to try and push? It's 2 picks.
Yeah, they're certainly being ambitious and choke as well. There's a lot of aggression coming through, and PINT Gaming not really in a position to fight this at all at this point. I mean, they're going to go for the exchange probably. They want it very badly, but they're losing players, they're bleeding. I'm sure they find Af, but now Jordy's in behind. Fast little speed shot there for Valley as well, so they're going to have to worry about this guy coming up from the behind, and there you go. It's a little bit of damage. He does get piped down, but still, it's just putting PINT Gaming on their toes. They have to get out of there, and well, now they might go for the exchange, but that's Smile taking down again. No soldiers on the board. They do find Jordy. I mean, they found him earlier, I suppose, but I don't know how this is going to go for the post-Uber, man. It's a better Uber for the Maggots. It's better positioning for them as well. They have the players right in there. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to keep this up. PINT Gaming, they're going to have to keep backing out.
Yeah, losing Smile before that push kind of killed the hopes that trade. They were trading on 1 pick advantage, but that pick advantage was taken away instantly when KN, just hiding in the cafe roof, was able to slam down that early one there onto Smile. And now we've kind of flip-flopped the situation what we were in around a minute ago, because we've got Dirty Maggots pressuring their way in, trying to look for a sack opportunity, trying to find some way of getting through in on Patchouli, or perhaps any other important combo class around, maybe trying to do this in slow dry way. But with Ubercharge coming up soon, I think we're onto the usual sort of Sunshine thing. You know, demo spammers through, they try and launch a soldier in. We'll see.
We'll see what their approach is. Maybe they're just very confident, waiting for the enemy team to make a mistake, right? Maybe they just want to play it as passively and Cadus-like as you possibly can. Just wait until the enemy team messes up. No, Jordy's gonna try to at least get a little bit of high ground here, see if he can maybe eke something out. KN doesn't quite get the quick jump through flowers that he would have wanted either, and well, they're gonna reset for the time being. But I can see what they're trying to do here. Jordy with a distraction, and then just KN from the top rope, out of nowhere, trying to send himself through flowers. It seems to be the strat that they were at least attempting there for a minute. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work, but nice, second time's a charm. Perhaps that's the one. Now there's a bit of demo aggression actually coming through Valley here, so perhaps that's enough to open up a bit of space here as well. It's methodical, it's slow. Unfortunately, they lost Jordy immediately as he tries to get through choke, so that turns things around quite significantly, because Warped is now ready to lead the charge here in Valley. Unfortunately, there's some MGE against the other soldier. Has to trade out for that as well. SNH gets down as well, though. So actually, yeah, they're finding the frags.
Yeah, they're finding 2 for 1 there. Warp going down, but he baits the rest of the flank in. Kane and SNH both taken out. And in that transition, actually, it's going to be 2 for 2. This is getting really weird. This forward spawn's getting denied, though, from... Yes, just about getting the cap before the trade comes in. Andy getting left out. No, Andy surfs away this time. Okay, so the Patchouli one last map and was like, you know what, I'll have a go. That looks fun.
I can do that too. That's not bad.
Yeah, 2 players down now. They're not getting forward spawns. They just got bullied out completely. So there we go, Dirty Maggots. I thought they were in trouble. Genuinely, like, what was that, 3v5? They managed to just hang in there just enough, catch a couple of frags, and reclaim their position.
So far, so good. It's a big reset, a big roundabout way of resetting. Lots of damage there being put down onto PINT Gaming as well, meaning the positioning is compromised a little bit. There's Jordy trying to get his bomb in. Nice little surf there off the skate. There's lots of damage on the Patchouli, but he does just about escape the next rocket.
Oh my.
There's no follow-up either. He's got the balls to hang on to that one, and no follow-up either by SNH means they're just hanging in this. And now counter is going to come through. There's the soldier bomb warped in deep. Just being a bit of a distraction as Smile tries to follow up instead. Neither of them finding just what they want, but the positioning might be all they really want out of this. With Piggles going down so low as well. Gotta be really careful on the side of the Maggots now, because...
Warped is in!
Yep, that's a force. That's a force.
Yeah, Dirty Maggots, they wanted to stay in to deny this point so they could get their forward spawns in, and they did get that, but I think part of that plan was that they really hoped to get an Uber trade out. But Warped coming in behind there from Choke, like, was completely unspotted from Cafe. Was putting the nail in the coffin on that idea, and now they're going to get a spawner up, they're going to get players coming in. We see them already bunched up in Cafe, walking through Kane in the same spot as last time, but they've seen that trick once in the book. Here when PINT are able to blast away the soldier instantly, as they can walk in. The second soldier in those, nearly going to get something.
Yeah, but doesn't. Crucially, does not. Everybody lives, and it's
the numbers
enough.
Look good. I was worried for a moment. I saw big numbers, you know.
Yeah, but it's not enough, unfortunately. It was a bit too spread thin across multiple people, so it's a mid. One off the back of just bullying, pure sheer aura pressure was enough to get PINT Gaming there. And crucially, Pickle still doesn't have, so hanging out to second here is actually tough for the Mags as well. They do have to get out to last. PINT Gaming very aggressive into this lobby straight away, trying to get that second capped up as well. Now, unfortunately though, the Uber is in play. KN is still dead, just about spawning now, and Smile going down. This last push is going to be quite compromised. They're trying to get a force out maybe, but sending in 2 soldiers into a heavy, it's not going to have any good outcomes, and now you got to worry about the counter sack as well, because you know damn well somebody's going to want to try.
Absolutely, there's no off classes. They got rid of their heavy. They've got rid of all their defensive off classes. They really want to pressure this through. They want to try and get in onto Patchouli, and they will do exactly just that. Geordie again, we saw it so many times on Granary. We're seeing it again now on Sunshine. Easily sweeping away that Uber charge from Patchouli, but now it's kind of weird. Uber ad like pushing out of Sunshine lobby. Okay, in theory, if all goes perfectly, it's fine. But like, when do we ever see these push outs from last going fine? Like, do Dirty Maggots, do they want to like chance that they're confident enough that they can get this going cleanly? Look how close PINT are playing. They really want to slow this down. They really want to try and make sure that Pickles at least has to use here when they come through.
They've been burnt by this before, and the Uber does get popped off immediately. Pickles even a bit too much damage for his liking, and they don't find anything with it. Matter of fact, Smile is actually still hiding a bit in dungeon there. Gets spotted. Could have probably gone back around, but ultimately, they don't lose anybody on the side of PINT for this either.
Almost died.
Pickles almost dying, just makes it a bit scarier as well. He lives though, crucially, so does stay alive. But again, now the table is flipped. PINT Gaming, full Uber, ready to go into last. Almost no defenses up. They got the sniper, sure. Av shutting down the left side a little bit, and the sentry's being built, but they're fast enough. The demo is just teleported into the spawn door immediately. Everybody rotated to the left side. A little bit of point pressure is all that PINT Gaming really needs, but unfortunately the stickies are still in play. Not quite finding the frags either. They're losing a lot of players. They only find Geordie as the only pick onto the defensive side, and the rest of the team has to get out and dodge. Matter of fact, Zams even is on the chase, trying to see if he can maybe get something here. Not quite. It's gonna just shut people out of choke, but it's still enough to secure that second again.
Yeah, the coordination just wasn't there on that push. We saw some players collapsing in the left spawn. There was a heavy up. There was no focus on it. There's also just soldiers just living on the pipe the entire time from Dirty Maggots. It was kind of, other than like getting the gun instantly, I think kind of nothing really went particularly to plan over on PINT's side, and now they're facing the disadvantage in terms of the Uber charge because we've got players flying in from Valley. Going to try and catch what they can. SNH going to fall down to a trap, but 2 picks going the way of Dirty Maggots. They might want to walk forward here actually. Demoman is massive to have down on Alien over on the PINT Gaming side, but they've got to respect the Uber somewhat. They can't just come barreling in like instantly because they could always use Nandy Dude and kill everything.
Yeah, that's just true. Kayan being ambitious there in Cafe for a minute, but hey, we're gonna check for him. He decides to get out and dodge, and looks like PINT Gaming maybe respecting Maggots a little bit more as well. Really wanting to get themselves established for this push. Not just gonna hightail it in there, right? Just go balls to the wall. They want to make this methodical, and unfortunate for them, Smile walks into a sticky trap, and the Uber they use to get into this midpoint is zoning. It's pure zoning, and now they have to worry about the response out of the other side, because Pickles has a full Uber in store waiting to be used, and it's not looking all that hot. PINT Gaming trying to even hold on to their second at this point. That's a lot of pressure coming in. They're already out into lobby as well. They know the situation they find themselves in. They're not looking happy.
Yeah, all the way out to last, and this is looking pretty dire. It's going to be, what, 60% on Patchouli? Maybe there's a world that Patchouli can get this Uber charge up in a post-fight, so Dirty Maggots are going to have to go quickly if they want to make this work. They're pressuring from top right. Uber comes in onto the sniper, and he goes and sucks back into the respawn on that resupply by him. We've got soldiers jumping in, trying to live. Warp's going to go down to this Uber charge. 89% on Patchouli, nearly has the Uber charge, not quite able to make his players invincible here on this last point, but they don't even need the Uber charge because the heavy is doing great work here on SK, and that is going to be enough to completely repel the advances, and is going to be enough to maybe even start walking forwards because they're able to cap second here, I think.
Andy dying a little bit by overextending certainly isn't going to make it any easier. And Jordy tries to be ambitious getting in behind, but just gets cleaned up immediately. So they're on top of this. PINT Gaming are on top of this. They're keeping this on lock. They get their second back under their control, and well, that Uber is still in store. They didn't have to use
KN
it all.
onto mid.
Okay, let's get the force. So much for the Uber. I cursed it by merely mentioning it for a brief moment, and here we are. Maggots back on the ad. Yeah, he's back on the ad.
They're gonna come in before the cap comes through. They're gonna try and get in from Cafe. Bomb comes in onto the point. Jordy does massive damage, and now the collapse is coming in. KN behind. KN can mulch them as they walk backwards. They can't walk backwards even at all because Zam's Jordy Af lighting up the kill feed.
Oh no, that's disgusting.
Oh, the pincer.
That is disgusting. That is absolutely vile. Yeah, that's a nice Uber. That's a nice Uber. Now they're spawn camping already. Maggots are probably locking this round down. There goes Smile, immediately taken care of. They're not going to be able to get out of the spawn. The only saving grace is that second is taking a little bit of time to, be capped off here.
To be fair, there's maybe a world. If he goes perfect, maybe there's a way. Maybe there's a way. They're going to try and battle in those soldiers to block. Heavy weapons guy trying to stay in this. 1 second on the Smile spawner. They've got to get this damage on point. They've got to get someone to block it. Someone's got to deny this cap time coming through, and the cap time cannot actually come through from Dirty Maggots yet. Look at the health bars on the red side. They're also weak. They're getting collapsed on, and PINT Gaming look like they may well be hanging on for the moment, but Medic goes down, and now it's all down to the 2v3. Uber charge comes up from Pickles, and the Uber on the point. They're going to have to unflash at some moment to get this final bit of cap time through. Alien and Warped hanging on. SK coming in as well. It still goes on. The fight continues. SK Prem debut, trying to be the saviour for the team. Can't quite get the shot, but he's living. He's living for so long.
Oh my god, how is this fight still going on? The spawn wave is here for the Maggots at this point. They're just back in as well. Oh my god, that was the longest last push I've ever seen.
Just because I know Twitch can't see the chat, Jordy's just typed the word clean in the chat. No, honestly, I was thinking, did Pickles, I didn't quite check, there was so much going on. Did Pickles get a saw in that, or did he genuinely build from 40% up to full Uber?
That I don't
use. I genuinely don't know. There was so much going on. I didn't even see. But the fact that Pickles got an Uber charge up there is unreal.
It's unbelievable. Anyway,
oh my!
What a round! Here we are, next mid fight for Maggots. Now up around. PINT Gaming trying to find a response. Unfortunately, Patchouli immediately just gets deleted from the map. Warp going down as well to assisted homicide, I suppose, and it's not looking that good for PINT Gaming already. That being said, there is a Smile flank coming around. Doesn't quite get the kill onto the scout just yet, but he is being a bit of a pincer here, being part of the pincer, and that's a Zam's caught, that's a Piggles caught. Half the only surviving member in the server of this mid fight, and it spells a 1 mid, but that's a salvage and a half out of the side of PINT Gaming.
The scouts, and it's the power of when you've got a soldier behind just cutting off, the pressure in front. They can't just walk back from the scouts. They can't walk back forever. And we saw Soki there getting 3 clean kills in that post fight. And I thought genuinely that bomb comes in at the start from Jordy. I'm thinking this is mid over. This is done. This is, they bunker up, they get themselves sorted. But no, PINT Gaming dug in, and they've earned themselves somewhat of an advantage. But it's an advantage that KN isn't too happy with the idea of existing, as he's gone over onto the spy class to try
directly there. Oh my god, perfect position to be in.
The decloak. Oh, great.
Clean. That's clean. That's what you should call clean. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see Jordy mentioning that one's clean, but that was probably one of the cleanest spy plays you could possibly have, and yeah, that's going to turn the tides for Dirty Maggots. Alright, matter of fact, this is probably another round. If they can keep Piggles in this, if they can keep this Uber for last, it's looking very nice for them already. And it's only going to be down to how PINT Gaming try to salvage this one. They got Andy on the response spy. Maybe he's just checking. No, he's actually committing to it as well. He's going out there somehow, seeing if he can just immediately turn the tides here. Because if he gets that stab onto Piggles, things have very much turned around again.
Yeah, it's so tough though, because they're not going to wait around forever on Dirty Maggots here. They're going to have to just
no
go.
Way.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, fair. Yeah, it's one of those again. They're not going to wait around forever. You've got a really quick timing, and you can't wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment may just not come. And now the Uber charge comes in, 5v6 in onto these last points. Soldiers jumping around, buying good amounts of time here from PINT Gaming, but they're just not living while they're doing it. And this is a much cleaner conversion on the Uber than the first round that we saw. Dirty Maggots 2-0 up at the halfway point of this second map, and again it's over the back of that spy player.
Yeah, they found their stride a little bit, it seems. They're finally getting into it. perhaps finally warmed up enough. Took 1.5 maps, but Pint Gaming, I think they're still in this. They might be, you know, stumbling a little bit right now. They can easily find footing. We're only halfway through the map time. Anything can happen. They can certainly still get a couple of rounds on the board, get themselves some points out of this match somehow, but they gotta get through this mid fight first, and these have always been pretty messy for both teams. I mean, we're seeing a lot of carnage unfold eventually. This time it's a bit slower, not quite as much aggression out of the gate, but MAGGOTS having so much more ground is gonna make it a lot harder for Pint Gaming to really get anywhere on this ground. Now Jordy directly over the demo there as well. Big commit from both teams though, across the point. It's basically equal numbers, except a little bit more with one scout still up for Pint Gaming, even if he's very low on health, but it's enough to get the MAGGOTS out of that point. They will have to give up eventually. And in fact, yeah, actually, they're on the other side. They're on the
they're on the wrong side. This is going to have to be a good trade from Piggles and Aft to try and get back into this. Warps is going to be on the job of trying to force out the Uber early. 2 rockets, the third one nearly lands. But Piggles respects it, lands down on the ground. Uber charge comes out, and now Aft going to try and get in, try to get something. They get the force out. That's important. But Piggles goes down to the body block.
No, it's so over. It's so over for Dirty MAGGOTS. Surely Pint Gaming get this, right? I mean, they still gotta wait for another Uber to come back into play, right? There's gonna be a lot of defense getting set up unless they really establish dominance on the last point here, and they're already eating so much damage trying to just walk in. That's 2 players down to Jordy.
Okay, they did it fast. To be fair, they fed fast enough that
it might not matter.
They're gonna get the ad anyway. And to be fair, Pickles is up on crits. Okay, the fact they only lost 2 is good. If they were getting completely bullshit that doorway, that would have been awful. But they're gonna get an ad push, but they are gonna have to contend with this crit streak. So
it's interesting. I mean, if they don't get this Uber on lock, that crits is gonna really tear them up.
It's up.
Man.
The crits is ready. The crits is coming.
Yeah, so they're gonna Uber first. Obviously, crits isn't gonna matter just yet, but if they don't get enough players with this, the crits on that app heavy is going to be something really nasty to look out for. The laser beams are in play. There's the damage being laid down. It doesn't even matter if it kills people as long as it denies ground. And killing a couple is just a nice little icing on top for that one. So, yeah, that worked out wonderfully. The crits worked out exactly how it should have. Well, much rather Pint Gaming not fighting the frags also kind of helped them quite a bit there.
Yeah, it was quite a nice passive hold there for Dirty MAGGOTS. They knew with the crits coming up, they could afford to give a little bit more ground than they'd normally want to, because they knew the laser beams were going to come eventually. But honestly, like, I think with or without the laser beams, I think they still come up good there. But now, are they going to come up good in the second point? Because they're getting kind of mulched down into this DM brawl that's occurring around the second point. Andy gonna go down to the fine side of Zams. We've got players going behind. We've got Smile trying to run in for a back cap. Actually just ignoring the medic. Gonna try and get the point. Smile gonna get it. The bomb comes in. Can't hit the air shot. The block comes in. The air shot from KN. Sits down, Smile. I thought that was going to be it.
It's only because he missed the air shot on KN. If he hit that, if Smile hits that, they win the round.
Genuinely. But now we're in mega weird territory.
Yeah.
Because look at the medigun that Piggles is on.
He's still on the crits, baby.
Genuinely still on crits this whole time. And it's not something you see often. Normally after that crits, when you know it's going to be even anyway, you normally see the medic swap off.
Or even pick up the enemy's medigun or something like that if they manage to kill, right?
Yeah. I think Patchouli did get out alive, but now they're contesting another full Uber disard. Uber charge in. Gonna get onto this left spawn door. They can't rotate right well enough as SNH now this time with the one with the laser beams, but the laser beams aren't being used
they don't need
yet.
To.
There's no. Well, there might be in a minute.
So
the cap time's coming in. Oh my
god! They just edge it out. They just edge out the cap. I can't believe it.
What?
Turns out you can just play the objective.
It's kind of the one thing I can think that is the reason why is they must have forgotten the cap time that Smile got previously, because it was not half capped when the Uber came in, but still. You have the crits.
They could have used so much sooner, just killed everybody on the point, but they really wanted... I think Piggles caught into the mindset of like, I want this to be the fattest crits ever. I need them to walk towards me. Unless there's 4 people on my screen, I'm not right-clicking, and I think that's what got them there. That being said, next mid-fight. Pint Gaming is still down around. They still got to keep this momentum up, and well, so far so good. They're doing okay. Unfortunately, Patchouli's also in a lot of danger though, so another nice, wonderful masterclass out of Jordy. They're going to take that medic out of the equation. They do lose both their soldiers for it in the end. Now they've got to keep Piggles safe on the other side with an angry team of Pint dwellers really wanting that medic out of the equation, but he's safe and sound. He's not going to go anywhere, so yeah.
This time they are able to escape. Last time we saw something similar like that, where we had Medi gets caught early on Patchouli, and they managed to, the rest of Pint Gaming managed to collapse in and get the late kill on the Piggles. This time around though, it's much safer. They're much more passive. They just give up mid completely, and now they're going to have to try and walk this in. Can they get in for free? Can they get in without using? They're eating a lot of flak, and they do have to use the Uber after dropping 2 players. We've got SK and Smile both going behind to try and get something on second. And look at the players just run left and right here on Dirty Maggots. They're getting a bit torn apart here by this flank. SK is going to live, and that was kind of a disastrous retake of mid. Fantastic if you're Pint. The flank did fantastic work. But
yeah, no, that worked out absolutely wonderfully. That's exactly what you want to see now. The Ubers are much more flipped in their favor. It's still not a super sizable ad, right? It's about 40% for Patchouli to try and make something happen with here. That's a few seconds that you can get in on. Unfortunately, it looks like Dirty Maggots are well aware of it, trying to maybe get an early force out or even just get out of there and dodge altogether, as they're just going to try to equalize these Ubers for last. But with Jordy still down for 13 more seconds, this is actually going to be quite touchy, as they're already out to last. There's a lot of cap time potentially being put down. Unfortunately, Annie just gets forced onto instead, which is fine. The exchange is underway. Piggles has to flash quite a lot more, so it's actually going to fade around at the same time. Now in the post-Uber fight again. Who's going to get caught? Who's going to be the first to fall? Is there going to be anybody falling on the side? It's actually Zam's down. 2 players down. No, there's 3 down for Pint Gaming. SNH in just at the right time with the heavy, and that should shut the point down for now.
Just about enough. Andy going to run into last, going to try and get in, serves the rocket up onto the point, and is actually almost gets the kill in onto KN. That would have been crazy. Lots of nice serves this game for these teams, but not going to do it. I honestly thought that bomb from Warp behind the point was going to win that round. I saw the kill come to Zams and I see the damage numbers, but it might be the re-aggression to second instead, because Pint Gaming do not want to let this game slow down just for a moment. They saw how the stalemates went for the last game. They're like, you know what, we do not want to just sit in a stalemate and try and push and try to sack. But yeah, it's
falling apart ever so slightly. Losing Alien especially, not that nice, but
20 HP
as well. Yeah, narrowly escaping with his life, but no, Dirty Maggots. It's a bit of second wind in their sails, and suddenly they're right back in the driver's seat, trying to get onto this mid, trying to find what they can clean up. There's Warped out of the equation, and they're gonna get this mid as well. They're just gonna keep this rolling forward. Ubers are equal once more, so perhaps this is the chance where things could slow down ever so slightly, but that would only favor the Maggots even more, right? They're up around at the end of the day with 7 minutes on the clock. That's some time you can stall out. That's some time to put pressure on Pint Gaming, get them to maybe crack, get them to make some mistakes, perhaps, right? It's down to them. The ball's in their court. They gotta somehow volley it over to the other side again.
Yeah, they've not decided to press the advantage too hard. They were up a pick, but again, like you say, there's no real need. Like one pickup, there's no need to start hurling players in. They can play it slow. They can play it just, slow standard stuff. Going to try and pressure their demo in from Cafe. And it looks like Geordie's going to be the one on cue to bomb in. Maybe KN actually either, because KN's bombed really high on this right-hand side and landed onto Patchouli. 1 rocket, 2! Oh, it was very close onto Patchouli, but the second one doesn't connect. And the diamond hands of Patchouli going to hang on to the Uber. Honestly, KN, of all the people to hit those, it would be KN, right?
Yeah, they're actually going to take the Uber straight across the point here, Andy. Lots of damage onto the demo, getting air shots so much as well while flashed. Unfortunately for him, he will eventually just get caught behind, and the Uber has to fade away, so it didn't quite work out, but they got a lot of flashing out of Piggles. The Uber's going to fade around at the same time, so it's not like they can chase much with it. Unfortunately, SK, being a little ambitious, means that he pays with his life, and now that might be what the Maggots need. Another point means another point to put between themselves and an equalized scoreline, and things are starting to look a bit dire for Pint Gaming. Maybe they work best under pressure, but they really got to start locking in, because that's a lot of aggression to lost already. Both soldiers across the point there. Both of them taken down as well, mind you, but that's scary. That's a scary thing to see early on.
Yeah, it's weird, because I think at this point, look at the clock, right? Like, Dirty Maggots, if they really wanted to, like, they kind of don't have to do anything. They can just chill on second. Yeah. There's, 5 minutes 30 left? 4 minutes 30 on the round timer? You're not going to get a round off a mid-fight in 1 minute. So they could, if they really, really wanted to make this the most boring 5 minutes of TF2 ever, they could do it. But they bring up the spy on Andy because they know on Pint they have to do something to get out. Okay,
I was just checking, I think.
They're just checking. KN's up on Sniper.
Interesting. and Sniper. They're really trying to pull out some stops here. I suppose he just happened to be spawning, so give him a shot. They're actually gonna go for the exchange and lobby in the meantime. That's a very ambitious bet of PINT Gaming here. I mean, they need to do something.
Well,
I can't blame them. Yeah, I can't blame them for trying. I suppose it's going okay so far. They've lost nobody. They've managed to kill AF, and they're keeping themselves in this. So all of that, an Uber exchange into your own second, kinda, but then all you get is a single scout frag. I mean, you really got to make it stick now trying to push out, and unfortunately pushing into a sniper is not going to make it any easier. Smile does get taken down as well.
Oh, the back cap's on. There's so many players flooding the flank.
Jordy's in already.
We had to block it. Andy's back though. Maybe Andy can block this. Nope. One shot. Oh, Jordy, 20 HP. The gunboat's plug-in almost came back to do the explosion damage on to Jordy. But there it is. I think 3-1, 4 minutes left. I guess it's in one of those situations where it's technically time, I think, for 2 rounds, but it genuinely has to be perfection. And PINT, like, we see them pushing out of last. You never normally see teams have to do that. And it didn't even go that bad originally. It was just the second wave after the Uber.
It's like a cornered animal desperately trying anything to get out of the terrible situation it's in, and well, it went about as expected, unfortunately. So, now with 2 rounds down, PINT Gaming really have to put the pedal to the metal if they want to have a chance here. Unfortunately, losing Patchouli early isn't going to make that any easier. Again, this is very similar to last mid. Both the soldiers down in exchange for a medic. At least they find Smile as well, so that slows down this PINT Gaming aggression. With Alien not being able to heal, he might just get picked off by some chip damage if he's not careful, so Dirty Maggot's able to re-aggress much more easily, much more quickly this time around, instead of having to wait and be out of there, so yeah, they're getting this one on lock, and I think that might just be it already, honestly, for PINT Gaming.
Yeah, that mid was over as soon as Jordy killed Patchouli. I think obviously we saw Kane get caught early, but like the distraction was there, and it was basically 2 uncontested rockets. Honestly, just the pump onto the hut and then the splash to finish it off. It was never really a good mid situation. But even still, like 4 minutes left to get 2 rounds is now impossible. So now we're just gonna play the last 3 minutes of this. See if either team can get a consolation round on this. Pickle's under a bit of pressure in the valley.
Could be some clean play, perhaps, PINT Gaming. You know, just honing their skills and situational stuff here. Just a little one board state you're trying to solve. Unfortunately for them, they're not really solving the second board state right now because they lost both soldiers, and they're about to lose the second point as well, potentially. They still don't have an Uber. Patchouli's probably going to get, mind you, by the time this push could ever come in, but it's not looking
great. Drop!
Actually, they get Pickles, never mind. All right. I was fully expecting that to be an exchange that's going to favor Dirty Maggots greatly. Turns out, maybe Andy's got the sauce. He manages to get the frag there onto Zams as well, and alright, perhaps there's still something here. There's still an opportunity, but they gotta move fast. I was counting them out, but PINT Gaming gotta move hella fast now if they want to have a chance at getting this round on the board, man.
Yeah, there's 2 minutes left. There's not enough time, I don't think, to get the full round, but there's stickies on this forward spawn, which is what we have to keep our eyes on at the moment. They're all going to back spawn away. They're all just going to, respect it. Want to keep this as clean as possible. PINT Gaming want to try and get this consolation round in to make it 3-2. Might come good at the end of the season if it comes to tiebreakers, as they now take top lobby. And with full Uber advantage, Gun and Sniper to deal with. Gun going to be dealt with eventually at the start of this Uber charge, as now they rotate the spam over to left-hand side. Alien doing a lot of sticks, but not a lot of damage, but it doesn't matter because the cap comes in.
It's still possible, technically. I think you can get around in 90 seconds. They just gotta move so unbelievably quickly, man. I mean, okay, there's a bit of extra runtime. It's gonna be 80 seconds. They can totally do this.
Pain trains all round.
If they wipe Maggots on mid and they just have everybody on Pain Train and they just move on forward.
They're on the crit screeg. They are on the crit screeg. They want to go for it. They see it.
They know it's possible. They see the vision. They found the golden path. They just have to follow it to the conclusion. And PINT Gaming might just be in this. They might just have an opportunity to still take this to a golden cap, to still get some points out of this, to steal something away from the Maggots. Yeah, they're already capping. Being a bit too slow though, and yeah, it's fine.
GG.
GG.
Oh, the hope lasted, what was that like? Maybe about 15 seconds maybe?
Yeah, look, you can try to be.
I was dreaming, I was like, we'd love to see it. We saw, like, as soon as they roll out with a soldier just stood on the capture zone of the point with Pain Train, like, it's it's going to be an interesting mid. But now of all things, there is probably actually time for this to maybe end 4-2 if things are really quick, but maybe not. They're not set up for it really. Like, they're playing chill on the Dirty Maggot side. They don't want to just make it make it too messy and
Okay,
silly. So we
but-
tick down the last 15 seconds.
Fat crit sticky out of Alien right now. Never mind, the was already popped. I was gonna say fat crit sticky to just kill like 4 people just for the frag video, but nah, not even that's gonna happen. It's Jover. It's absolutely Jover. It's never been more Jover. Please don't fold. Please don't fold PINT Gaming. You had a rough couple of weeks, but it's only gonna get easier from here. I'm sure you'll be able to pick up some points next week.
I was asking who's leaving the team this week. We had a leaver last week from PINT.
Yeah.
Who's going?
Who's Ship of Theseusing this time?
No, genuinely, I think they'd like. I was really impressed. I think they played genuinely really well.
Yeah.
That whole game. Like I think we said before, we were questioning in particular SK right coming into this, like was fairly absent last week, but that's against Witness obviously. I think today had a pretty good showing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think went toe to toe with everyone. Like had some really good moments, some good post Ubers as well, coming in, cleaning up players, and some good mid fights as well. But in the end, it was just like it comes down to these margins, and there was just a couple of moments of class from Dirty Maggots that I think got through. The spy play from KN was the biggest one. We've had some great bombs from Geordie, and also like think about the times, particularly in the first half of this map, where Dirty Maggots were just clinging on for dear life on their own last point. They were so solid.
They really love just holding their last. It's just something that they're really comfortable with. Again, it's the same scoreline as the first map as well, right? So ended up being pretty close again once more. Pretty good damage coming out of Zams and KN for that matter as well. And ultimately, I do think like the locks, this time around, even though PINT Gaming were in there, they were hanging in there. I think this time around, Maggots were definitely in control more often. Even if they spent a fair bit of time on their own last again, I think they were just in control for most of that map. I mean, Af putting out an insane KD.
Yeah, and the DPM from Zams as well, like 350 on a map like Sunshine, when like DPMs like around the board aren't particularly high across the rest of the server. It's like it's not quite 100 above the next player. It's just under 100. But yeah, like Zams is class, and wasn't a name I felt myself saying much during the game, but like the impact was still there.
Solid, yeah, just like a solid anchor for his team, a solid core, keeping the team where it needs to be, showing up when he needs to, putting down apparently very, very much damage for his team to profit off of. And I mean, we saw it a lot, especially during the mid fights, right? Just shutting out the enemy team, keeping his team, like just erecting a wall between himself and the enemies, and just somehow ensuring that as long as his team is behind him, they're probably not gonna feel much harm. And it worked out wonderfully most times. Crucially as well, no drops. Actually, 1 drop out of Pickles, right? I forgot about that one, but it didn't matter because it was already in the round where they basically weren't going to win the map anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess.
Well, I want to ask, okay. So, we've said about PINT Gaming. We've alluded to it a few times. These first 2 week offies are against definitely the best team in the season and maybe the second best team in the season. Okay, and they get 0 points of it, but they've looked really competitive. These 2 maps today could have gone either way, both of them.
Yes, definitely.
Like the maps, the maps last week, okay, it was against Witness. There were still some close rounds, but okay, Witness got better because they beat everyone, okay? How do you think they're going to fare later on this season? How do we think against like the MAC team, against Forfence, against Arrogant? How are they going to get on? Have you like seen enough to think they might make a push still for like the 3rd playoff spot, for example?
I think the crazy part is they absolutely have a chance. If they, condition 1, don't fold. They stay in this, they stay motivated. Condition 2, given what I've seen, and the fact that they are still prone to some mistakes here and there, especially from a coordination standpoint, which is something that inevitably gets better as a team plays together more, I think they absolutely have a lot of room for improvement still. And if this match had happened in week 5, I think we would have seen PINT Gaming win. I think as the season goes on, if they stick together, if they stay on top of it, if they stay keen, we can see them totally just sweep the rest of the season away. I think it's absolutely possible that they can still do it. They just got to stay motivated enough to do it. Maybe, take whatever potential team you might want to take to LAN as an extra boost as well, to be like, hey, let's use this as practice for LAN, even if we can't make playoffs, and then just have a good time there, right? Because I think they have a lot of potential. I think the ceiling is certainly much higher than it could be right now. Than it's in what we've seen.
Yeah, we'll have to see because there's still 3 weeks left of the season. There's still actually 2 more offies left this week. There's one tomorrow, and I
True.
believe another one still to be scheduled. I can't quite remember. There's definitely one tomorrow. So yeah, do stick around, do come back, and we'll have some more season 50 action. Unless you got any more final closing words, I think we can get it to wrap up.
Yeah, that's good enough. Thanks again. Cheers and shout outs to MAGGOTS sponsoring the season. I remembered. But that's it from us. See you tomorrow for more TF2 action. I forgot which match it is. I believe it is Forfence Aragosta, maybe. But I do not.
That sounds about right.
For sure. It sounds right. That's good enough. If JMax says yes, then definitely is. And look out for that one, I suppose. Have a good one. See you, chat.